build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance to spit in his eye. Well, they gave me ball, but I can see between to a dusty yard and a long gone green. They call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I dry my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone. I'm sober as good.
Hello everybody, welcome to LongbangerS. I'm Matty, this is episode 123. Bit of a full house tonight. Colin, are you happy?
I'm happy. How are you?
I'm good. I'm delighted that I set you up for that one that you asked me to set you up for earlier on.
Aye, but you never done it. You were meant to just say, how are you? And I was going to say, do I look happy? You never done it.
Oh.
So I just went with fucking,
Well,
up, so let's just fucking ignore it.
Cut this and start again.
Leon, are you happy?
Do I look happy?
Aye.
Didn't ask stupid questions then.
John, are you happy?
Do I look happy?
Aye. Right, so agenda for the night. We've got Hibs. How many goals was it we scored again this time against them? Three again. Hibs 3, Rangers 1, and the League Cup semi-final at Hampden. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about ticket allocation for the final, and probably need to think about Ross County on Wednesday night as well. Who wants to go first to talk about the game? Colin, you're top left, so you probably got first dibs on this tonight. What was your take on it?
It was quite good. I quite enjoyed it.
Are you just going to go deadpan for the whole
That's
episode?
not a stupid question.
It was reasonable.
Reasonable.
It was a bit of a surprise actually. Like obviously what was it last week? We all said Hibs would win last week, didn't we? The three of us on LongbangerS, but it wasn't. I think anybody predicted 3-0 after 40 minutes, whatever it was.
5 minutes, I think, or something like that.
So it was pretty convincing. And apart from their goal, I can't even remember the goalie having any saves to make or any real danger. Obviously, Goldson blasted that one. That's still flying now. But other than that, I can't think of any chances. They played so well. Like even listening to Sports Sound, I caught a bit of it in the car earlier on the night and yesterday's podcast, and even there, like talking about how good we were. You know what I mean? Like how, not just like obviously the tendencies to say how shite Rangers were, but although they are talking about that, they are saying like we were good. So it's quite nice to hear, after all the doom and gloom of losing 4 games in a row.
I mentioned, I listened to the podcast as well. The Sports Center, just to see what they were saying about it, and they were full of praise for the Hibs. You mentioned Goldson's shot that was still rising. If you right, I kind of we're old cunts, right? TikTok. You seen Hibs TikTok today?
Mm-hmm.
Hibs posted that wee video, Goldson's shot going like out in orbit and everything, and then they also did the other one with Gerrard doing his I look happy bit, and then it cuts to Porteous doing it, and then goes to the Thug Life thing with the sunglasses coming on him and everything. Like, okay, when did Hibs start doing stuff like that?
Brilliant.
I know, but it's my daughter's 11. She's like showing me them all. Okay, so it's a different market. They're targeting there. Obviously, we're laughing at it, but it's going to them, isn't it? So
they'll understand it all as well, rather than that's good. That wonder what it is. Leon, what were you were at the game? What did you make it?
Aye, brilliant. Was it, I put 3-0 on the Hibs Twitter feed just to wind folk up at first, and that's what the prediction was. And when we went 3-0 up, I couldn't fucking believe it, to be honest. It was even when they taken the penalty, I didn't even celebrate it. I sat down. I was like, fucking hell. I was like, this is madness. I couldn't, and I was still nervous at 3-0. I was like, this is now going to be terrible if we didn't win this game. It's going to be really, really bad. See, when my daughter gave her a wee shout, Luna, she's in the morning. I was like, how are Hibs going to do today? She went, Hibs won 3 goals, and she never tells Rangers were going to score, so she never got dinner last night. So that was because I put money on Hibs 3-0. She was 3-1, and I'd have been loaded. So, but that was brilliant. Great day. Like it's always a great day when you get a result. It's always a football that ruins it, especially going through Hampden and that. But yesterday, everything was fantastic. So it was an absolutely brilliant day, and there's only one team apart from them you want to get up, Ken, and they're right at the top of the order, like, so it was brilliant.
And John, you made a special comeback just specifically to talk about this. So here's the floor. It's all yours. On you go.
Just absolutely delighted with Hibs. No, having taken part in the podcast recently, but still, going to the games and seeing the trials and tribulations that Hibs have gone through recently. Particularly, so I think we had the Celtic game where we had that shocking first half performance, and Hibs had started to play a bit better second half. But I know that the criticism of that was that Celtic had taken their foot off the gas or whatever. But then after that, we had the COVID outbreak. We had games getting postponed when folk were halfway to Ross County or halfway home, depending on your point of view. And I was concerned from a sort of fitness point of view how the players were going to be, because folk get over COVID, but also folk end up with long COVID. And I thought, fuck, like that. Like first game back after nearly a month off, and you're getting over this new virus. But there was no signs of it yesterday. Hibs were almost entirely flawless. Like, it was a phenomenal performance. Got no complaints about it whatsoever.
Either. Colin, we look at I was going to say the tactical battle, and then I remember what podcast we were on. I thought, fucking, that's taking us in a direction we didn't want to go. Jack Ross, right, so let's talk about how the team were set up and everything. Not necessarily going into the detail what they did, but obviously he has had the criticism in the big games, which has kind of hung around him, and some of it, okay, whether you like it or not, there is some justification to it, but is no won as many big games. We talked about it, I think last week we were talking about no having the highs to match the lows quite so often. But definitely yesterday was one of the highs. What did you think that he got right?
I suppose packing the sort of five in midfield, or the 3-5-2 thing, because it's always worked well against Rangers, hasn't it? Over always the last 5-6 years, we always seem to play better when we do that. So the two up front keeps them occupied. Normally, tendency could be to chuck one up front, and then they just get Nisbet's non-existent. Then really, isn't he? Normally, when he's up front on his own and detached. So I think having Boyle up there clearly helped, because they got a hat-trick. Other than that, I think the team that got picked was probably the team most of us would have picked. Whether it would have been in that formation, I don't know. Other than the laddie Campbell might have been one that folk might have not picked, but I think he got the team. I don't think it would have been any surprises there. It's probably formation that caught them out, maybe. That's the level of my
maybe Cadden, maybe
knowledge.
Cadden starting to, when I was.
Who would they have played instead of Cadden, like?
No. It was the system. That's what I'm saying. It was the system that allowed that to happen, and then that's what was thrown up at the start. What system are they playing with him being there? And then,
I suppose with McGinn going to centre half, when you've got two centre halves on the bench, maybe it might have been that might have been one change.
Brilliant.
He got it right.
That back three were outstanding, absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
I know the BBC were talking about the difference in hunger between the teams they on. So Hanlon picks up a book in about 10 seconds into the game after that.
Aye, 20 seconds or something. I always came that stats because I watched the game, and they were talking about it through the whole game and half time and that, and it was one of the challenges that you're like, oh, here we go. If that had been Ibrox, it could have been seen at a different angle, and you're like, and even when they got the booking to you're like, oh, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long day, Ken. But they were everything they done. Like, I thought, like, the hunger, I felt like even guys like Joe Newell and that, they were getting in and getting their toes on the end of things, nicking away from players and winning balls back, and whereas weeks before they were trying to get there, and they just won the match in it, they won the taking the ball away, and the balls won to fall for us, but they just absolutely battled for everything yesterday, and it was like boys versus men, and it was it's not very often you can say that with Hibs and Rangers and you're playing bigger teams in that, but honestly it was night and day, the difference in the fight in them, and the breaks definitely helped them. Even Nisbet, like his build-up play for the second goal was outstanding, and he always picks the ball deep. It's always been his game. He drops in deep. They've had him up top trying to run lines and can hug the ball up and everything. It's just not his game. He likes to get involved and he likes playing the passes, and he'll get on the end of them, and he likes to open up with a dig. But I just honestly, they were brilliant. You couldn't fault anybody at all. Because usually, even the times you do play and you get the top performances, you get the odd player you can sort of pick out and, mate, he wasn't as good, and I thought he was going to cause us a bit of problem and all that. But they were absolutely brilliant to a man. Like
the aggression, I think, was one of the things that isn't typical with Hibs. But if you look at the game, John, we had, like, there were instances of the ball just going out for a throw in, and see the amount of just wee shoves Hibs players were doing on. Like the needless ones that we wouldn't normally get involved with, but it was just that they were chasing the ball right to the end, a wee shove, a wee dig at the wee player, all that kind of thing. It was superb. How much do you think that rattled Rangers, John?
I think it was probably typified by, I don't know who it was. It was towards the end of the game. Was it maybe Barisic? I think was it Campbell had the ball down in the corner, and Barisic, I think, is maybe, I don't know if he's certainly pushed them over. I can't remember how it was that. I think he's pushed Campbell when Campbell's been lying on the deck, and I'm up screaming for a red card because he'd raised his hands basically, but the referee wasn't having any of it, but he gave him the booking. And I think like you say, that aggression, like for the opening, because I wonder if because obviously the last game at Ibrox with Porteous being sent off, having won the ball, I wonder if there's an argument to be made for Hanlon taking the captain, taking the leader role that people say that he's not capable of, and just saying to Aribo, right, so you made a melee at the last time when nobody touched you, so fuck you.
But we're touching you today.
He's definitely got issues with his balance, that laddie, though. Watching him, it's like he's got an ear infection or something. He tends to fall over an awful lot.
He does, aye. They didn't like attention on these players, eh? The boys I think they're about silky. They didn't like the wee bit.
Yeah.
It always remind me of that kind of guys that are good on the ball and travel on the ball and dribble on that. They didn't like getting kicked, and I'm like, well, what do you want? Just to fucking let you walk past them, like. Yeah.
That's similar to what Colin was saying yesterday. Just earlier on about Hibs and how playing 3-5-2 and how it's been successful for us playing against them in the past. But I think the one thing that's been successful in the past as well is Hibs just getting in Rangers' faces. Like, you think back to like the Scottish Cup final, like just not leaving any of the players alone. Even when you look at like Stevenson when he replaced Dougie Tripod yesterday, one of the earliest things he did was just leather someone. I forget who it was, and I was a wee bit concerned about that because throughout the game, one of the things that I noticed about Dougie Tripod was that he was defending so high up the pitch. Like, Tavernier was on the ball basically in line with the 18-yard box, and he's having to play the ball backwards to McGregor. Like, they just never got any opportunity at times to try and build an attack. But similarly, when Rangers did build an attack, Hibs were quite happy to let them have the ball and do what they were doing. And then it was almost as soon as they got into like an attacking area, just shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
It's complete opposite of that Celtic game.
Sorry, Colin, you go.
Sorry, mate. It was complete opposite of that Celtic game for a few weeks. Was that the last game before we broke? Because it was like so standoffish, no tempo, no urgency. And then yesterday it was everything that wasn't it? You think, is there a middle? Is there a middle ground somewhere as well?
It's funny because, I mean, if you'd listened to Jake Doyle-Hayes' interview on Down the Slope, that was really good. I remember one of the questions that one of the guys had asked that I thought was really revealing about Jake Doyle-Hayes was when he said, well, I'm not a spoiler, that's not the game that I want to play. And then yesterday, to his credit, like, there was a lot of stuff that he did that was kind of spoiler. And he said that, what I was trying to say was during the Celtic game, what he said was that he thought the Hibs had started to get back to playing the football that they'd been playing earlier in the season. And then yesterday, I thought that he was quite a spoiler in the middle. Again, he was just getting in people's faces. He was winning the ball back. He was moving the ball. But also Hibs did start to show some of their best football yesterday. And that was in spite of the fact that we didn't have as much of the possession as we perhaps had in previous weeks. We were just happy to let them have the ball, whatever it was that they wanted it. And then when we had the ball, clinical with it, moved the ball fast, just put them on the back foot straight away. And I don't think they were expecting it. I really don't think the Rangers were prepared for the way that Hibs lined up yesterday or the way that they approached the game yesterday.
Maybe because they've not had it easy against us, but they've had they've had the results against us, and they've had obviously the decisions go against us as we do. But even a lot of the games we've hosted against Rangers, they've always been tight, and it's been very like turgid games, and not exciting. They've always been like quite drab, and obviously the last one at Ibrox was obviously a lot involved in it, but it's probably been the first time they've seen Hibs recently too with that kind of attitude, and it's probably caught them off guard.
Yep.
Especially when LongbangerS and the management team there, they actually have them set up and ready, or having to say, well, look, I think this is the way they'll play, blah blah blah. Because at the end of the day, they never went in blind, but they've probably just been expecting the same Hibs that have been turning up the last 3-4 times against them.
I'm a big fan of going in and smashing somebody early doors like that, though. Even though it was 20 seconds in, I was still quite surprised it got booked, even though it's clearly a yellow card. But normally, I'm shouting, going, fuck off. Like, fuck off. It's 11v11. Didn't he spoil the game? Because that's what the shite the commentators normally come out with when somebody does that, eh? And you usually get 5, 7, 8 minutes of that to put that in. Although I think Stokes in the cup final must have been about probably 30 seconds and all, was it? It was early doors as well.
Stokes was early doors, definitely within the first couple of minutes.
Aye, so you've got to go and do that, sort of set your stall, eh? Just say that's what's fucking happening.
It's mad. You talk about catching Rangers by surprise with the approach, Leon. There was a wee clip on Twitter I saw, I think it was Barry Ferguson on the Go Radio show, I think that's what it's called.
I watched that earlier.
And he said he expected Rangers to go and steamroller Hibs. Now, obviously, he's not in the dressing room. I'm okay with what's getting said in there, but I would imagine it's fairly typical with how they thought that game would pan out. That they just needed to probably turn up, do what they do, and then walk away with a win. Yeah. But
you hear about Richard Gough the night talking about no surrender and that on the radio.
What's the script there?
From Radio Scotland. You'll get on the podcast, Radio Scotland podcast. The club's ethos or something's built on no surrender, he says.
What the fuck is it like?
Is anybody pulling him up about this, or like, we just got to say that's all right?
It's mental, isn't it?
It's all right. He was talking about the old club. They let that one die.
They did surrender and they did die. Colin, Paul Hanlon got a new contract extension through the week. They announced in amongst the announcements for Stevenson, Doyle Hayes, Dougie Tripod, and Christian Doidge. And I think it's fair to say that the reaction on Twitter, which we've all voiced our opinions on how folk react to things on Twitter, but it wasn't universally well received when Hanlon's one was announced. What would you say about his performance yesterday as captain, leader, etc.?
Well, he was all of that, wasn't he? He was excellent yesterday, and he just gets the blame a lot of the time. You know what I mean? Even if it's no him, I'm not saying he's always brilliant. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think until we get somebody that's better than him, why would we not extend his deal? And yesterday showed what it means for him. As John says there, he went in and went to Porteous, the fucking way, I'll take this one. Because if Porteous had done that, there's every chance he would have got the red card based on reputation. So he just went and smashed the boy. He was brilliant yesterday and everything like he done. Even, he couldn't get the blame for anything because the two mistakes we did make, he wasn't involved in either of them either. He was just excellent yesterday. It was like, I know that obviously Boyle's got to get man of the match because he got a hat trick, but Hanlon was man of the match. And as much as a slate Willie Miller normally he was a brilliant centre half. And he says yesterday that's who he was talking about on the radio after the game. So,
Leon, what about you? You're always quite happy to defend Hanlon.
Well, he's end of the days, because we see performances like that film, and we do, and I think a lot of times that he's between him and Porteous. A lot of folk forget how young Porteous was as well, Ken, and he was alongside Porteous, and although he's not a shouter, folk have got this obsession with shouters, Ken. Folk that deal with all this, they wee fucking barking dogs, Ken. It's fucking me talking about dogs again, obviously, but it's just like I don't get it. It's like, the manager doesn't deal with shouting, doesn't do this. Just because he's not shouting doesn't mean he's not running a game or in charge or boys are playing the way he's wanting to play in that. And I think Hanlon, he's solid. And 31-year-old, as a 31-year-old, right? It's absolutely fuck all these days in age. He honestly, he would walk into every single team in this league with Rangers and Celtic. He played for Hearts easily at centre half. And when folk are saying he's no good enough for Hibs, it's honest. I can't see what they're talking about. And I think he's just an easy target. And is it familiarity breeds contempt or whatever? Kind of
Yep.
that phrase, whatever it is. I had it in my head. I was like, I'm going to do this.
Aye,
I'm
nailed
gonna
it.
do that.
Absolutely nailed it.
You got that written down in front of you, Leon.
That dictionary getting launched. I couldn't read it very well. But honestly, it was like that's what it's like. It's just football fans are quite now in this day and age. Kind of football manager thing about signing players and who we signing, who we bringing in, different players, and it's like the same faces. Folk get bored of them, I think. And it's the same as Stephen said. He gets the same treatment, and that you've got to look back. You've got to look back in 10 years' time, 15 years' time, 20 years' time, and be like, Jesus Christ, these two players getting 500, 1,000 appearances between them. Absolute legends. Absolute. I mean, I've seen of how many managers, and they keep getting picked. And again, that performance yesterday was outstanding for Hanlon against the top side. He absolutely bossed it. And even like Porteous was the same. Again, you felt that obviously Porteous has got the moments in Mayville, and not through his own fault. I feel like it's his reputation that follows him. But like you said, Hanlon was not in that happening yesterday. Hanlon was going and making the challenges. He was gone taking the control of the game. And he was outstanding, absolutely brilliant.
John Hanlon obviously on a yellow card for the first few seconds of the game, so to have that performance and be as physical as he was and do it without getting another yellow card, what does that say about him?
Phenomenal. Like Leon mentioned his age there, 31-year-old. You didn't get, I don't think it would be easy for someone like Porteous, for example, given his age, relative immaturity in comparison to Hanlon, to have that challenge early doors, possibly even pick up the red that we're talking about, because his reputation apparently precedes him, and then go and pick up another challenge. Pick up another booking later in the game, and then suddenly Hibs are down to 10 men, and it makes things a lot easier. But that's parallel universe sort of stuff. Hanlon, for all those years, for all of that time that he spent in the Hibs squad, for all the time that he spent in different positions, like it's no accident, it's no fluke that he's got the number of appearances that he's got as a professional footballer. Like, the guy knows football. And to get booked as early as he did, to be as physical as he remained for the rest of the game, to make the challenges he did and the blockages that he did, it just speaks volumes about him. Like, footballers are going to make mistakes. Like, footballers are human beings too. It's going to happen. The way that he's hung out by Hibs fans, I think, is really, really poor, and it's not reflective of his abilities. The guy's he's a really, really good defender.
His service as well. Okay.
Yeah, he's good with what he's feet. But I think this is something they said in the radio as well, and is that he doesn't dive in. He stays on his feet. He's in the right place. He intercepts. Whereas, and I think people compare him against maybe McGregor or Porteous, and they're all action, fucking elbows and legs swinging everywhere. Hanlon's a bit sort of classier about it, so it doesn't stand out as much. But you see them and go, oh, look, he's shouting and he's winning loads of headers and he's putting that boy in the deck. Whereas Hanlon doesn't need to do that, because he just goes and he sees it before the last ditch, so he doesn't need to.
One of the things that
goes in, it goes missed.
YLT signs and that kind of things like that.
So one of the things,
one of the things my mate McBee likes to say, or he likes to remind me of anyway, is that football fans are emotive creatures. And I think when football fans see someone like Porteous or McGregor, for example, hammering at a challenge, that's them seeing themselves on the pitch and what they would do. But there was the interview with Ben Knows Everything on the Hibs pod. One of the things that he'd said that really stuck out to me was, didn't let emotions or your emotions get in the way of your decision making. And Hanlon staying on his feet, I think it was typified yesterday. So we had that early thing, and it's maybe a wee bit counter to what I'm saying, but early in the game, he smashed the Rebo and he said, right, he kind of set the tone for the game, like nothing, you're not going to away with your shit that you got away with Ibrox. But there was an opportunity for Rangers later in the game. I think it was maybe after Stevenson had come on. Rangers were attacking down the right-hand side, and Hanlon just stood. He just stood, intercepted the ball, and that calmed everything down. Hibs were able to break, relieve the pressure, and I think those two instances perhaps typified Hanlon's performance yesterday and what he brings to the Hibs team.
It was one of those games yesterday. I thought that the criticism that Hibs have had levelled against them in recent weeks about leadership, etc., was blown out the water, because I think from goalkeeper to striker, every player was leader yesterday. That's what it was like. I think Joe Newell, Colin, I've not seen too much noise about him, but I thought Joe Newell had an absolute terrific game in the middle. Just
just like you said there, John, about picking up the ball, camming it down.
Yep.
Aye. What about you, Colin?
I had a good game. It was another one he got booked in 3 minutes, I think, didn't he? Another one that is a yellow card, and you'd have probably got away with it if you hadn't already booked Hanlon. But kind of that was one of them. But he had a good game. There's nobody, you can't pick anybody that had a bad game with the whole team. There were some that had a better game than others, but there's nobody you can even try and criticise. I don't think. Like, I don't think there's any. There was not one weak point in that team yesterday at all, and that's why it was so easy in the end, because they were all good. And when you get 11 players all playing that well at the same time, we can beat anybody. The problem is it doesn't happen that often. It's getting that consistency, or even getting 8 or 9 players playing that well at the same time.
There's probably something to be said for the circumstances that preceded the game that galvanised the squad. Like, I wonder if there's anything that we can do to recreate that come December 19th. Never mind.
Give everybody COVID again.
Well, maybe let's not go to extremes.
Tom English was saying that the night on the radio. He was saying that it's clear that some Hibs players, led by Poaches, pretty much don't like Rangers. So they need to try and recreate that against Celtic. They need to find something that, because it's the way, like, that's like the way they were fired up yesterday was like most really seen in a long time. Even 2016, like they weren't like that. They were so fired up yesterday. It was amazing. But I don't know how you recreate that. I suppose that's up to Jack Ross to try and recreate that.
I think Jack Ross is like the way he acted and reacted to the goals and the result, and then the way the players reacted at the end. We all see teams dancing at the end and all that nonsense, but they've been hurting. There's no getting away from that. You can see that, and that win yesterday has lifted a massive weight off their shoulders. Players like Nisbet and that, boys that have been getting hounded, and we all can see it on social media. Boys like Stevenson have came out and says they see it, and that you're not going to pit, like, you're not going to go there and say I'm mental, but I genuinely think it is a big turning point, and I think we're going to start seeing a lot more better performances for specific players as well, because they've now got this final. They've got over that the win at Hampden. They're no like, how much a hit Jing at Tain them getting beat by Hearts and then losing to St Johnstone in that. It must have been absolutely crushing for them. And then still being able to grind out the results in the league and get third place. But that boost is there for yesterday must be massive. They'll take that on. I did that for a minute.
I tell you what I liked was you're right about all that, the celebrations and that, but with the boys signing contracts during the week, with the way they celebrated at the end, the way Jack Ross and Poaches said in his interview, they felt that they owed it to Jack Ross and all that because they'd let him down previously and stuff. Like the squad's together. Like, as soon as we lose a couple of games, right, folk come out with nobody wants to play for Jack Ross, or he's lost the dressing room and all that. They wouldn't be signing long-term contracts. They wouldn't be saying that in interviews. They wouldn't be celebrating like that if that was even remotely close to being true. Just because you lose a couple of games doesn't mean you've lost the dressing room. And I wish we would stop fucking creating fucking rumours like that and making shit up like that. You know what I mean? Just because it happened once with John Collins, it's like every time we lose 2 games, we've lost the dressing room. There's a revolt. You know what I mean? It's not true. It's shite. And if we lose the next couple of games, he's not lost the dressing room either. You know what I mean? So
I think it was telling the Ben Kensal were also Ron Gordon on Strong Opinion Hibs when they were talking about Jack Ross, that they're very much behind them. And again, you're not going to get an owner and a chief exec coming out and saying, fuck, he's only got a couple of games. But I think the way that they talked about him I think they showed that they're very much on the same page with supporting Jack Ross, and they see definitely the good that he's done.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what else. I just only started listening to the Steve Keane. Is it Steve Keane or McKean? Steve Keane interview just today. I've only listened to the first 5-10 minutes yet. But Jack Ross was influential in bringing him here, right? So he's getting quite a lot of say in it. They're not going to let that happen. And the other one was, that's the new manager lined up waiting to take his job. Like, Jack Ross isn't bringing in his fucking successor. You know what I mean? He's got such a pivotal role that they're letting him go and get the people he wants to work with in. They're not going to be getting rid of him anytime soon, even if he doesn't win the next 10 games in a row.
I didn't think it was forced to that Kensal interview either when he was talking about with Jack Ross and that. I didn't think it was like the one asking, saying, about Jack Ross, about Jane, we'll keep on that. The way he came across, he was talking about, he was very candid about saying about, like, I don't think Hibs are ready yet to go challenging or push like into definitely third every year. And he was honest as anything saying that. He should have said, oh, aye, we should be finishing third every year because we're the third biggest club in Scotland, blah, 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 like all the other numpties. But he's like, he was very, very honest and candid about it. And I think with Jack Ross, like, there's no doubt. He said about the stats. You look at the stats, he mentioned about making semi-finals. He never mentioned about making finals because finals are always a bonus. You've got to make semi-finals. That's you get to semi-finals and you're doing well. Getting to finals is let's go win things and it's a big deal for the fans, blah, blah, blah. But you got to consistently get to semi-finals and you've got to consistently finish in the top four. And then they can start budgeting to beyond that. And that's what he was saying. And Jack Ross has done that. He's finished high in the league and he's got us to semi-finals. Beyond that, it's a lottery. Always is, because if there wasn't a lottery, he'd be winning clubs like Hibs would be winning cups every other year. You know what I mean? But he's doing exactly what he's asked of him. And you can't complain. You can't. I don't think so.
Go on.
I thought you were asking me to complain there.
Nah. Okay, I've learned over the years that's a futile request. That Jack Ross's record in the cups, right? So obviously there's no one, which is one of the criticisms that he gets, because in the final we did get to, or the first final that we got to under Jack Ross, because now we've made two, we lost. But that's Hampden for semi-finals in each of the last 5 cup competitions, I think. So we've made at least the semi-final stage, and 2 consecutive finals as well. Can you think of a Hibs manager that's had a better cup record than that?
Really?
Nah, I can't think of any. But it was funny because when we were walking away for Easter Road West last night, Sean was asking me when. Oh, what was it? He was asking. It was something odd. I was saying, like, we've been a regular, we've had such regular appearances at Hampden that we've actually started to call it Easter Road West, and it probably started about maybe 10 years ago at least, if not a bit longer than that. But during that time, like, we thought, had how many managers since Collins? A few. Since we won the League Cup. And
yep.
I don't think anyone has had as many appearances at Hampden as Jack Ross has had.
Probably not had a manager long enough, fair enough. You're probably right on there as well.
But that alludes to
two finals, didn't he? Stubbs did two finals.
Yeah.
Stubbs went to 2 finals in a year, or in the same season. Can almost get the League Cup and the Scottish Cup.
But it's what Leon was referring to there in Ben Knows Everything's interview. You can't. It's hard to build for that continued success if you don't have that continued success. You need to have the foundations in place, and it seems like from some of the things that we've learned over the years, and even some information that seems to be coming out now, is that perhaps things behind the scenes haven't been quite as professional as they should have been. And it seems like what we have now is an owner and a backroom team who are all geared towards making Hibs the most successful outfit that they possibly can be, and leaving no opportunity unexplored in pursuit of that. And that's just so refreshing, so invigorating to hear, especially like with some of the stuff that we saw this week with the 5 new contracts being signed. Like, we're not leaving anything to chance. So, Stevenson might not be a starter, for example, but he's a more than able deputy for Dougie Tripod.
I was actually glad when he was coming on yesterday. I was like, because he's going to make us more solid anyway.
There's a picture on out of one of the millions of pictures that I've been retweeting, and I'll need to go back through all my tweets because it's in there. And there's a picture of the Hibs player celebrating, and just in the background you can see Stevenson, and he's got his arm round Dougie Tripod. And I'm really curious to see, I'd be really curious to hear what it is that he's saying to him. But I can almost imagine exactly what it is that he's saying to him. Like, just keep the heat, basically. Just keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to get more and more opportunities like this. And that's such a valuable thing to have.
I think you probably should spell your math. Right, let's talk about the goals. So Leon, first goal comes to a corner, and Neil swings it in. I think it comes off Tavernier, and then Boyle scores. Much to say about that?
Fucking easy peasy, eh? To get in there, setting them up
Brilliant
and chest and that. Oh, brilliant. It was,
Brilliant one. After all the moaning about being shite crosses and that.
Aye,
Brilliant ball.
exactly. I was exactly saying the same about this, about corners and set pieces and that, and how we're bad at fucking defending them, and then watching that happen, it was fucking brilliant. And Boyle just sharp as a penny. He was on his toes, and it was still hard, like I say hard. He was bloody on the line, practically, but you've seen him going higher, Ken. You've seen him or hitting him out of the keeper. And he was absolutely on it. And aye, brilliant.
What was disappointing for me with that was that Poacher should have scored that, and that would have really fucking riled them up, eh? But I mean, it was still nice. A hat trick's nice for somebody, I suppose, but Poacher should have scored. Like when you see it,
when you watch it,
just totally misjudged.
When you watch it, it's how they create the spaces. Actually, you watch Boyle's movement at the corner. He takes a few steps back away from the post, kind of out towards the touchline as the ball's coming in, and then there's that bit of space gets created in the middle for the knock on, and then Boyle's just fucking on it quick as you like. And like you say about how easy it would have been to blast it over, you look at Goldson's chance at the end, where there's a lot of similarities, and the ball was always a bit closer, but it's no as easy as it looked. John, you want to talk us through the second goal?
Just again, like the opening goal, like the when Hibs got the ball yesterday, when they were on the attack, like they moved so quickly, and Hibs have taken a lot of criticism in the past for the pedestrian way that they can often move the ball, particularly across the back four. But yesterday, when I think it was a throw-in, Josh Campbell touched it down to Joe Newell. Joe Newell just fires it into Kevin Nisbet. Nisbet turns, slips that beautiful ball into Boyle, and then it's, I don't know, I had this weird feeling just utter calm yesterday, like with the exception of maybe like the first 3 minutes when Hibs had their two bookings, and I thought, all right, that's going to make the rest of the game a bit tricky. Scored the first, and then the ball, I think I've mentioned this in the podcast before, like I was away up above Sir David Gray corner, and I could almost feel like the footballers or the football fan binocular eyes just zeroing in. Kevin Nisbet like slipping that ball into Boyle, and I'm thinking, we're going to fucking score here. And then Boyle just tucked it away, and it was just everything about that move was fast, it was decisive, the finish was clinical. But I think Leon had mentioned it earlier about Kevin Nisbet's movement. Like he's not a traditional target man. Like there's no point lumping the ball up to him. He wants to drop short, and he wants to play it off, and he wants to get into the box. So he's come short yesterday. He's taken that ball for Newell, and he's just slipped a beautiful ball. And I thought someone had mentioned a wee while ago about it was Kevin Nisbet and Martin Boyle no passing at one another, but that just dispelled any sort of notion of that yesterday. Like it was as good a team goal I think as I've seen Hibs score for a while. It was beautiful. It was poetry. It was a great finish. Yeah. And that's why I'm here, because I wanted to talk about this sort of stuff at length, because it was just fucking beautiful. It was phenomenal. I loved it.
Did you like McGregor's wee T-Rex arms when he was trying to save it? He didn't go full in.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because we were watching McGregor. Like, you know how the players usually, if you've seen one Hibs warm up like this season, you've probably seen most of them. Like they've got certain things that they do, and they usually finish off with like a wee sprint, up towards like the halfway line or whatever. So I was watching after the teams came out yesterday, and Hibs were getting themselves lined up and that, and going through the motions of getting organised or whatever. And then McGregor up the other end was getting like a few shots into him, just on like the edge of the 18-yarder. Like someone was just kind of like going for like the wee drop kick, and he dropped one of them. And I thought, I think he's struggling. I don't know whether it was like, because he's won the league, he's won various trophies, and he's played however many games. But I thought, I wonder if like the occasions maybe got to him or something, because he just, how we talk about him being like angry McGregor. Like I thought he looked crestfallen McGregor yesterday. Like it looked like his whole world had fucking imploded.
Didn't way be there.
You see his face just as he's facing the penalty for Boyle. There's like a wee close up.
He looked haunted.
And he went kind of like that, like, here we go. Ken, rather than if you compare like Conrad Logan, the penalty shootout against Dundee United, Ken, the famous one, he's like, fucking, when I hit it down the middle, fucking screaming at the boy and everything.
Yep.
Totally larger than life. Boyle's just giving him the eyes, just looking kind of pretty much straight ahead. And McGregor just had that really like that, puffed his cheeks, and But it wasn't like a puff streaks. Here we go. It was up.
Aye.
You know, one of those ones. Aye. And then obviously it went down. Penalty, everybody happy it was a bona fide penalty. We never got lucky with it or nothing like that.
Yep. Kevin Thompson wasn't he? But everybody else was quite
Embarrassing,
comfortable. I kind of get it. Like,
No.
it's not
So-
like Ken had McInnes to cover Rangers, and he was saying, "Aye, Boyle's done well, right?" and Kevin Thompson's the one that's sort of said it. He never quite said he dived, but he
It's that
getting it with
contact
a
or something.
clever and
It's that
Kenny,
penalty
so much
where
contact.
Davis hasn't like clipped his heels in the box or anything. Boyle's put himself in the position where Davis has to foul him, and I really don't have any complaints about that.
And then he
Davis,
fouled him, so it's a penalty.
aye,
Yeah. That's
Davis,
it. It's
with the
fucking-
experience that he has, should know not to lunge in there.
Do you get what? See, since Boyle got the penalty against them, was at Aberdeen a couple of seasons ago. I can't remember if the crowds were in or if it was when at the start of the season when there was no crowds. He gave a penalty away against somebody. The
Aye.
Aberdeen boy
did.
just ran in
He-
front of him when Boyle was
Yeah,
able
yeah.
to clear
And
it.
he kicked him.
He's done it. He's just learnt for that. I mean, I'll just fucking do that. In fact,
Yep.
I'll just run in front of somebody and they'll foul me. And that's what it was. And I can't imagine. I can't see how anybody would say it wasn't a penalty. It was shouting for it. Everybody shouting for it. It's like fucking obviously a penalty.
It's funny, see, in the ground yesterday, I don't know if you guys thought the same, but I saw Boyle go down, and I'm looking at the referee, and it seemed to take an age from to point to the spot. Like it was that way where you can hear the commentator, and you're going, "Oh, he's taking a good look at that." See, when you watch it back in the replay, the whistle was up at his lips almost instantly, and he pointed to the spot.
You couldn't hear the whistle. Where I didn't hear the whistle. You could see him pointing. That was what I can't. It was like, I didn't hear the whistle go. Because normally that's the giveaway, isn't it? You hear the whistle, you go,
Yeah.
fucking your dancer's penalty. I knew Boyle was calm as you like, taking the penalty early on.
Brilliant. He's missed a couple, but he's fucking, look at them, always doing the middle, a wee bit of heighting them and that, or kind of pit, like, but they're all a good, decent bit of heighting, and aye, he's going for his hat.
Goalies always dive, Leon, eh? Goalies always dive.
Totally.
So doing the middle, the heights.
There's a fucking, honestly, my brother will fucking hate me for saying this. I think John's probably heard this actually when I was pissed. But I used to take a couple of penalties now and again at the amateurs, and I always used to say, the keeper doesn't dive up the way, ever. Never, ever. He hit it in the roof of the net, hit it high. They always got to make a decision. He's dead wrong. You get the lazy fat bastards that they move, and then they fuck you. But see, honestly, it's keepers. The keepers never ever, they'll never stand, go up. They're always trying to get down as sharp and quick as they can to reach a ball. So, but like you say, you've got to, you've seen the referee, the goalie that's done their homework. They can maybe catch you, but nah.
But the goalie would look stupid if a goalie stands still.
He stands here.
The goalie looks stupid. Unless they go down the middle, of course.
And I think a player can anticipate. I think split second they can see they're not going to move. That's what you just pull it. Aye.
Because high in the middle, is it? Because even if you go low in the middle, the goalie's feet always get in the way. So
that's right. No, brilliant. I was 100% confident when he stood up to take it. I had no doubt in my mind he was finishing it, considering the first two goals and the way he was playing.
And then, John, right after we scored, or pretty much right after we scored the third, and we were thinking, right, happy days, we're cruising this. We concede probably the next Hibs goal we fucking conceded in weeks, considering the performance we put in. It was like a total anomaly in the game. What went wrong for the goal, if you want to dissect that?
I watched it back earlier because obviously I was in rapture since yesterday, watching all the different videos, fan footage, replays of all the Hibs goals and celebrations and whatnot. But it was only actually about maybe 2-3 hours ago that I watched Rangers goal back. And I think what happened there was that there was maybe a wee bit of miscommunication between Macy and Porteous. I think Macy was maybe going to go for it, and then Porteous has been forced into a decision, and he's just not connected with the clearance. And it was funny. I don't know if it was because of where I was sat, but I thought the biggest reaction was for the Hibs fans. Like, I thought the Hibs fans fucking cheered it in like with an ironic applause. Like Hibs fans, and it might have just been that there was that momentary like eruption for the Rangers end, and then Hibs fans were like, "No, fuck it, we're going to fucking win this." So Block 7, the new ultra group, and the area just behind the goals, like they were dead noisy. But like one thing that I said to my mates when I was at the game yesterday was, all I want for Hibs today is just let's not make any mistakes. And like I said, like at the start of the podcast, was we were almost flawless. And I think that was just one wee mistake. But actually, I think Colin mentioned it earlier about, and Leon maybe mentioned it as well, was about crosses. There wasn't a lack of crosses going into Hibs box yesterday, whether it was for corners, free kicks, or whatever. But Hibs dealt with every single one of them. And I wonder if either we've worked on defending set pieces, or whether the goals that we'd conceded for set pieces were just an unfortunate series of events. Because I never saw any evidence of disorganisation in Hibs defence yesterday.
It definitely looked like they've been working on that to what I was seeing. I mean, Macy was coming and taking more crosses as well and further out than he has been. I've not had a massive problem with what he's been doing, but it looks like they've been working on it, and they all knew he was going to be coming when he was coming.
Yep.
Apart from that goal, because Macy could have done better, Poaches could have done better. There's no point who do you blame? Like, you can blame both of them. Like, you know what I mean? It's one of the things. It's just a defensive mix-up, because Poaches is there to cover the mistake, but then he doesn't cover it very well. So, or who was talking to who? You know what I mean? Sorry. About Hanlon was doing it. You said that at the time.
Actually, I thought Aribo, I think it was Aribo went up for the header with Hanlon, kind of clattered him a wee bit, and I was really. At the time, I was like, see if you haven't stayed down for the heat knock. Because Leo and me were talking about it in the pub before the game. Aye, and you just think it was one of those ones where maybe just try to buy yourself a wee bit of time. I get so there's no criticism of Hanlon, because I think the performance that he put in, he was making last ditch box, getting back up and getting ready to go again. He's just that sort of player, eh? But it was that a wee bit of being streetwise. You think, I've had a wee bump on the heat here. They're on the attack. I could just take the sting out of the game here by going down, and making a big deal with the headlock accounts.
I think effectively
cheating.
I know what you're saying,
but
I hate it. I absolutely hate it. But if folk are doing it, you just got to let your own players start doing it as well, just to get the benefits of it. You see referees pulling up fucking folk for pulling tammies and that. Like folk going doing like hurting the leg, and they stop the game when teams on the break. It's mental.
This is what I was going to say. Like, I think at that stage of the game yesterday, I don't think Hibs were getting much in the way of. Obviously, they'd had the penalty, but I don't think they were getting many fouls coming their way. And I remember they had that ironic shout for the Hibs fans again, because Clancy actually gave Hibs a foul. I wonder if Hanlon's maybe got up at that point thinking, if I stay down here, they're not going to give me it, and they'll just score. And there's no chance at that stage. I wouldn't expect them to be fair, because I wouldn't want Hibs to do it either. Player down in the box holding their head, I'd want Hibs to play on, because I think the head knock thing is something that players try and capitalise on. But on that occasion, I don't think that the referee was ever going to stop the game. I don't think the players were going to stop playing either. So I think Hanlon done the right thing.
When you say the word capitalise, I watched a wee video earlier on. It's a Rangers fan talking about the game yesterday. He said something like they need to capitalise when they go a goal behind. That's what capitalising means. Like, you fucking idiot. Like, you capitalise on something good that's happened, no adversity. He said it before times as well. It's like, oh, fucking hell, Rangers.
That video was a tough watch. That was a long 8.5 minutes.
When I got sent it, I was like, what the fuck's sake, 8.5 minutes.
Was it?
I was sitting on the toilet watching it, and 2 minutes into it, and I was like, I'm going to have to sit through this whole fucking thing, because somebody's put on Twitter, I'm going to have to watch it, because it's going to be either really, really good or really, really shite. But I'm now committed to it, and I'm just going to do it.
I laughed at the one he said, because I'm talking as a football fan here, not a Rangers fan, and if I had been a Rangers player, he would have definitely got sent off for that tackle that he put in the first 10 seconds. And I thought, when was the last time a fucking Rangers player got sent off? Like, so fucking 3 or 4 seasons or something. So there's no fucking precedent here.
I was something else to say as well about Rangers going 1-0 down in the last 11 or 12 games, and they've not been able to capitalise on it. And I thought, when? Are you even watching Rangers games?
For me, they're so hard done by Rangers Celtic, because you see it's obviously we'll move on to the allocation chat, but fuck, I feel so sorry for them at times. It's fucking hard.
That's hard life.
That's a hardship.
What about coming out the ground? I don't know what your experience was coming out the ground last night, John, but so after the game, obviously, and so we'll talk about Hibs support actually before we talk about coming out. 10,000-ish, 12,000, I think it was in the end. Made the noise for Rangers fans each, I think, yeah.
Aye, outnumbered, but not outfought, outnumbered, but not outsung.
And there was definitely a bit of fighting in that going on after the game. I think I wonder who organised the exit for the stadium. I mean, you're lucky it wasn't like kind of like a David Gray last minute winner, where all the fans are inside the ground until right at the end, and then all piling it together, because most of the Rangers fans were kind of well out of the way by the time we were getting it, but there were still pockets of them, and it was just like wee sporadic bits of bother kicking off all over the place. But I just thought, who's taking the Rangers fans through the Hibs fans? Like, what kind of fucking idiot decided that was the way to do it?
Do you mind the boy talking to me? I think he thought I was a Rangers fan, because obviously my idiot brother wore a fucking blue with an orange under jacket to a Hibs game.
It was orange day though, wasn't it?
He's a blue jacket with orange inside. And honestly, even going into the game, the police and that, like, what side he's going to, boys? What side he's going to? And I kept looking at him like, you're a fucking idiot. And honestly, and the boy came up to us and he said something about fighting in trouble. So these idiots, blah blah blah, about and he looked at me again. And he's like, "Oh shit, you're not a Rangers fan." And he started walking away. And obviously, I didn't care what was going on, but I was mental. And every time you turn around, there was folk chucking punches at each other, and then police were just standing watching the whole time. There's something wrong with it.
I wasn't bothered. It was mental. I can't imagine seeing it like that at Hampden for.
But we'd say it's like like leaving Tynecastle. It was like that. Ken, they one set of fans going one way, one set of fans going that, and they just meet and go to Gorod. And it was back in the day, anyway.
Aye, stupid plan. I saw like there's a video of the boys fighting on the motorway as well. Fucking, how do you get to a stage where you're packed at the side of a fucking motorway?
That's mental.
Aye, ticket allocation, and so we obviously like. There's a few varying opinions on this. So it's you get 17,500 for the final, and Celtic making up the rest that isn't taken for corporate stuff. So they can, how many that gives them, maybe 35-ish.
Is it initially 21? Did it not say 21 in the release, the press release? No.
For Hibs? No, 17
for Celtic.
For Celtic. Maybe it is 21.
And then I don't know what happens. I don't know if it. I don't know. I'm sure. I just thought I'd seen it saying 17.5 to 21, and then obviously you've got about 5,000 in the sponsors and debentures. I don't know what that leaves in. Still another 10,000. I don't know if that means you get. We not getting an option for any more if we sell a 17.5. That is.
I think so. Doesn't look it. I think it's 17.5.
So they're going to get the extra.
Aye, because Celtic will definitely sell it, but. Right, so the arguments are the two sides, and you can tell me which side you fall on. Cup final, neutral venue should be 50-50, or we couldn't sell our tickets for the semi-final. We only took 12,000 bid option for Mayor if we'd sold them, so we should be happy with 17.5. John, you want to go first? Which side do you fall on?
I hope this doesn't sound like I'm sitting on the fence, but I do sort of think that it's both. Like it should be 50-50. It should be 50-50, but also people's personal circumstances notwithstanding, we should have sold more yesterday. That there was only 10,000 people went to a semi-final is, I'm not going to say it's embarrassing, I'm not going to say it's pathetic or anything like that. I wanted to see more Hibs fans there. And it was disappointing there wasn't. But equally, I've been at semi-finals before where, like the Dundee United game, for example, the folk that were there were the folk that really, really wanted to be there, like come hell or high water, because we'd all experienced the disappointment of Ross County before that, and it felt like the latest in a long lines of kicks in the balls. But we still went. And then come the final, we had the final that we did. Yesterday, it was the folk that all the folk that wanted to be there, come hell or high water, because we'd all experienced, the COVID, we hadn't experienced it, but we'd seen what had happened with the COVID affecting the Hibs squad. We'd seen the previous 4 games where we'd been beaten, and there was a really shit first half performance against Celtic. But there was still 9,500, 10,000 people who went along. So how then do we say, well, it should be 50% for the final? Like the two of them are both accurate. You know what I mean?
Aye. Okay, Leon, do you want to decide one of them?
I know. I mean, I wasn't going to say myself on the fence either, because worst thing you've done on that podcast, I have an opinion on something, but it's I was like, I got in a wee half argument with Celtic fan on Twitter, and I could see where I hate the arrogance of Rangers Celtic fans, so that always gets me dragged in, right? But they're like, well, we should be getting more because we're a bigger club attitude, right? But that's not what's happened here, right? It's the only thing is, I'd look at it and be like, well, why should the semi-final attendance dictate what you get in a final? So I don't think it's ever happened before. I didn't see what's the problem with giving them the opportunity to sell, and then if they didn't sell it, hand them to Celtic, because they've done that before, and that seems fair. But then I'm also on the side of, well, like John said, folk that wanted to be there were there, and loads of folk couldn't make it for certain reasons, and that's absolutely fine. And somehow we can't get to games, and everybody's got a fucking life at the end of the day outside the football. But I think there was a lot of folk there that never went because of their own results and the expectation, or they thought, oh, we're going to get beat anyway, what's the point in going? And obviously then they'll get to come along to the final, and if we win it, they get to enjoy the whole day out, even though they've no way through the oh shit, we could be getting a doing here and having to go through this. But it's a hard journey, but there's no reason they couldn't start on a 50-50 allocation and give them the opportunity. I don't think it should be, oh well, Celtic sell all theirs, so they got all theirs. You didn't sell yours, so you didn't. It's a cup final. It's meant to be an exhibition match. It is a competition, but it's an exhibition of the league. So.
Aye, well, maybe that's the thing that can galvanise Hibs for the final, is the injustice, getting a fair allocation of tickets, because I actually quite like that Hibs have become this perpetual fly in the ointment of Scottish football sponsors and governing bodies, because they wanted a Celtic and Rangers final. Premier Sports wanted it. Let's not make any bones about it. And you've seen sponsorship deals being talked about in the past. I think it was with Sky, where they wanted a guarantee of a certain number of Rangers and Celtic games per season. Well, fuck them.
Aye, totally. It's your league with the fans. Fuck you.
Aye, so when it comes to it, there'll be however many disappointed Celtic faces, and there'll be 17,500 Hibs fans celebrating.
I like the embattled. I like that. I like that embattled and kind of like entrenched fucking mentality. It being like it's like when you're away from home at Ibrox and Celtic Park and you get the result, being the smaller group, out singing the bigger group. I think sometimes it has a better effect on the players. I think how many times have we seen Hibs choke and fucking fought like the Livingston final, all that with the big huge supports and the big expectation. Yeah. We're going to go into this game as underdogs, and we're going to have our underdog support as well. And I think we could put us into a different perspective, a mindset.
Well, what about you? Where do you stand on it?
We should definitely be getting half, and then if we don't sell them by a certain date, then we start getting them back. That's it. It's a cup final. You get half the ground. That's it. Unless you say we don't want half, you start at half. That's it. I don't even see what the debate is. Just because you've got more season ticket holders. Well, they couldn't get other season ticket holders in anyway. So fuck them. Tough. What did they do in England when fucking Wigan get to the final? They just go, well, you've only got 2,000 season ticket holders, so we'll just give the rest to Man City. No, doesn't work like that.
You look at the 2016 cup final. Can you imagine if that was fucking wasn't a 50-50 split? Do you know what I mean? Like, it was fucking, the game benefited from having the half and half with the support. Again, it's a better atmosphere than I've read.
Aye, oh yeah, the whole spectacle is better for it. I don't understand. I didn't understand the debate. Like why Hibs got involved, had to get involved in a conversation to fight their corner for it. Why? It should have been fucking, you're getting half. Do you want half or do you know? It shouldn't have been you're not getting half. Oh, no, can we have half? No, shouldn't have been like that. It's the wrong way around. We're already gaining them the fucking Celtic end. Like, fuck's that all about? So we've got to go all the way fucking round to get back on the road. Like
Aye.
it's your side of the fucking, it's your side of the stadium. That's where we should be. The only time we ever get, well, not the only time, because I've been in the other end before as well, but Celtic is the only time generally we get punted in at that end.
Aye.
I think we've been there before. I think Dundee, I remember Dundee United semi-final, we were over there as well, but why? Why? Because he's some kind of fucking Rangers paid for a roof or something in the 70s. That's what it goes back to. It's
what
all
it's
been
for?
fucking knocked down and built back up again. Rangers built a roof, or helped pay for the roof, and Celtic didn't they? So they got the end that wasn't covered. That got called the Celtic, and then that got called the Rangers end. Something like that. So what the fuck's that got to do nowadays? Like,
Ludicrous. A neutral
fucking
venue should have a
madness.
Rangers end or a Celtic end. It just sums up fucking Scottish football.
It's
In a
not
But there you
nutshell.
neutral, is
go.
it? It just says
There
it's
you
not
go.
neutral.
That's a bigger problem and a bigger conversation than Hibs to be having. That's for the very people that have geared the system against you.
We're having the clubs are doing their own investigate, well, their own write up and look at the leagues and that, and Hibs and Dundee United and Aberdeen are having a looking at how they can make the Scottish leagues better and not involving they two anyway. Because at the end of the day, everyone's been going through they two for forever, and it's what suits them that is what goes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why your league. I love Scottish football. It's the fucking one of the best football leagues in the world easily, for what it gives you, for what it's worth. But they two have it back, I think. And the folk, I think, the opposite way, that they're the big two, they're the big spectacle, they're the big support, they're the teams that the world are seeing. But they had it back.
They want to guys for each other. That's it. That's all they care about.
Aye.
All they care about is each other. They can get the fuck. I mean, it's nonsense we're not getting half, and it's nonsense that we've got to go the long way round. How are they segregating that? Like, I usually just walk out. You know what I mean? It's fucking mad.
It's the same. Actually, the last time we played Celtic there was the semi-final with Heckingbottom, and actually was sort of talking about seeing bother after the game. There was trouble after that one. Right, there was a point at lunch in the stairs, Celtic fan, because he came out fucking getting the big licks, and obviously Hibs fans didn't stand for all that shit. So somebody just fucking hocked the boy and chucked him down low the stairs, and then there's a big brawl for a few seconds till they all do that running up to each other, running back thing. Until the police come. Again, it was like that. So, and we'll have the same thing again. And then 40 quid for the fucking tickets as well.
Cheapest
40
ticket.
quid.
Cheapest adult ticket is 45 is the dearest. 35 is the cheapest for the shittest seats.
Aye.
35. And that's not just for that's for adults and anybody over 16 and over. Including concessions like John. But I mean, like how there's no 6 days before Christmas cost me a fucking fortune. If all 5 of us were to go, I've got 3 adult prices to pay for. Well, should pay for an end, but 3 adult prices and 2 kids tickets cost 4 have left the house. So for the cheapest, shittiest seats, what are you, 105 for the adult tickets alone, plus another, I don't know what the kids tickets are, is it 18 each? 36 quid, 141 quid. And I've not even got on a bus yet. Like, fucking Merry Christmas, eh?
Aye, Happy Christmas indeed. I thought like the lack of student price was ridiculous. I can why they do that. Maybe it's logistics or whatever, but surely they can.
Something fourth year at school.
Aye.
Like, it's got to pay for an adult ticket. Like, how are they doing that? It's crazy. It's not even a student. You could say, well, a student might have a job and all that. A fucking somebody in fourth year at school. Like, somebody paying it. It's fuck's sake.
They said you picked up on it, Colin, in one of the group chats with the SPFL, said they'd frozen the prices since 2019.
So the Hibs statement.
Nobody was in 2020. Ken,
no.
Like, what kind of price freeze was that? We did the charge you more when you couldn't come. Great, thanks for that, Wolf. But we'll bump them up now.
It's 45. I mean, even 35 quid, I think, is an expensive ticket.
Aye.
But 45 quid, like, what are we doing here? Like, that is that not the prices that you pay down in London to go and watch Tottenham Arsenal and that? You know what I mean? I think it is, but it's fucking 45 quid. It's just mental money. Like,
I can't remember what year it was, but it was the UEFA Cup final that was played at Hampden. Sevilla, I think, played
2007. I went to
2007.
That. Yeah,
I went to that as well. It was 50 quid a ticket for that, and it's bizarre. It feels a bit bizarre that we're reaching that level of ticket prices now for a League Cup final, but I don't know. It doesn't. The thing is, like, see, charging more for it doesn't make it any more of a showcase occasion. You know what I mean?
It's just greedy
That-
bastards. That's it.
Prices spoke out there.
As I said last week, football thinks the only people that got affected by the pandemic was football.
Right.
It's a fucking disgrace. It's an absolute fucking disgrace, especially the kids' tickets.
Football's the only thing that fucking has inflation constantly. Eh? Can like everything goes up. They always talk about freezing prices, but every fucking
Football
year,
and trends.
it's like every fucking year, and like, oh, we'll freeze the prices this year. Freeze prices, like, so you fucking should fucking start bringing them back down, Ken. It's and look, I'm no one for. I'll pay and go, and it is what it is, but it's a fucking embarrassment at times what they're charging. And as soon as they went above 20 quid for a ticket, it's always been wrong, Ken. And
Aye.
what you're getting for your money, regardless of how much it costs to go to the cinema and all this pish, it's fucking not a deal with that. It's always been a working class sport. At the end of the day, it's for the working class people, and it's for fucking society and community. It's the community clubs, and Ken, it's just fucking the prices are unbelievable. And you don't know where you get hammering into your own clubs and that, because we've got to make money, we've got to stay competitive, and if one team does it, and you're in behind them, and then all of a sudden we're moaning that we're not signing players are there, it's hard to do it. But the national fucking game, the game that's run by the top guys in that, they should be able to control it. They should be able to say, no, this is a cup final, 20 quid a ticket, Ken, and that's it, everybody gets in. Or like you said, it doesn't even matter if it's 40 quid a ticket. Like you say, concessions, students, it's fucking embarrassing.
But the thing is, it's SPFL that set the prices, and that is all the clubs. So they've all agreed it. So Hibs are part of this. Like, we can moan about Doncaster all we want, and that Hibs help to pay Doncaster's wages to take the fucking heat for them. Actually, that's all he's there for. I think. You take the blame when they will moan about something. That's what Doncaster gets paid a fortune for it, because we're all involved in Hibs and Hearts and Rangers and all that must have been at the start of the season. They went, 45 quid seems reasonable. Fuck it, if they're 16, they're old enough to work. You know what I mean? It's almost like they're driving people away, because they didn't want a certain type of people to go to the football anymore that can't afford that, because it's fucking extortionate. Sorry, it's not even all right if you go on your own. Like, it's just you're buying for. Like, I'm buying for a family of at least 4. One that's on the periphery that might go, but if you're going on your own, like, to start your day with a 45 quid ticket before you've even got on a bus, had a beer, because and this is, I normally argue, well, why are you adding food costs into your day at the football? Because you can eat before you go. But this is an all day thing. You're away, fucking. It'll be 10 o'clock. They'll be leaving at 11 to get into the boozer for 12. Game starts at 3. You'll not get home till fuck knows when. By the time you get in the traffic all the way around the long side of Glasgow, because they're in the wrong end of all that, you're buying your tea when you get home and that, because you're not going to make nothing, right? It fucking costs you an absolute mint on your Todd. Never mind when you multiply that up by 3, 4, 5, however many it is that you go. It's totally fucking wrong and out of order.
And right at Christmas as well, which makes it even more mental.
Who the fuck does the fixture planning? An absolute fucking useless cunt, whoever it is. Give me it, I'll do it for free, right? If anybody's listening, I'll do it for fuck all for you. It can't be as hard as you're making it look.
I assumed yesterday, coming out the ground, I asked when the final was, and I didn't realise that it was so close. I assumed it was going to be January, February, March. Not that it was going to be 4 weeks' time, 6 days before Christmas. That does seem a piss take.
It's always been scheduled for that as well. It's not like they've had to rearrange anything. That's when it was, presumably because of Europe. Because mind when they used to do in the early 90s, late 80s and that, it was October this was finished by, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I presume it's now November for the semis and December for the final because of European games. But we did play in Europe back then as well. So, but not as many games though, because it was knockouts back then. Wasn't it the league stages? That must be why it's been punted.
Is it anything to do with like international games? So we like
it's more of them and all,
World Cup,
Conference League, or like the different competitions that we need to take part in to try and qualify if we didn't qualify through the original qualifiers.
The European trophies weren't as many teams in them. There was straight knockouts as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so now you get to September and you're in a league, so you've got 6 games. So I'd assume there's less midweeks, to play the League Cup games. So that punts it out October. If they want to finish it, they need to do it then. But if this is the case with what's happening here with the costs say it with the fixture pile up that we're not spoken about yet. Just fucking knock it into February and March then next year, like what it was. I prefer it all done before Christmas, but if you're going to do it like at the latest possible date before Christmas, when I'm fucking skint at that time of the year, and then they're asking me to spend 200, 300 quid, it's like just fucking crazy.
It
Absolutely
is mental.
fucking crazy.
I'd say to Jane, I said, you seen the ticket price? It's 40 quid. She's like, that's me not going then.
That's
You
what
know me.
that was the first thing.
Said, "Sir,"
Yeah,
she says, I'll not bother. Because we'd normally try to get the girls' tickets, and
Yeah.
then obviously me and Josh would go. But Jane said, it's fucking not worth it. Like, for that, like,
that time of the year. If that had been in February or something, you would have done it.
I've done any bother.
You buy
Or
them
October.
tickets for the Christmas. Can it
Aye,
sound
you
like
do that.
Yeah.
They'll be thanking me for that.
It's just, I just think it's totally wrong, and something needs said about it. Somebody needs to do something about it. The prices are just creeping up and up and up and up, and nobody's doing anything about it. Stan Collymore was doing something in England a few years ago, but the 20s plenty that sort of,
I
and
had that
Leon
campaign
sort
up
of
here for a
touched
wee bit.
and they just go, fuck it. Nah, there's a pandemic or a skint. Like, aye.
Celtic, they were pushing it, to be fair, anyway, because they were getting hammered with all the away prices and that, and going to places.
Segregate for on it, Yeah.
Aye, and then they were just like, "Aye, shut up. You're a Celtic fan. You win every week. Fuck off."
But to be fair, Celtic and Rangers, for all we have no fondness for them, but they do get shafted with
Category
tickets
everywhere they go, aren't they?
for the rain games as well. Ken, like, and I think
Then
I'm
have
sure
they
the
not
season
helped?
tickets that didn't include the Old Firm game in that because they can sell them over and above. It's fucking mental.
But have they not, like, as much as it's a hardship for them, are they not the creators of this scenario where they hoover up all the little TV income that there is because of the duopoly that they have?
Mhm.
They don't need to do it. Like, they're
The clubs do. The
their
fans don't,
clubs. No, that's what I'm saying. The fans, they're the ones that get the hit in the pocket for it. The clubs didn't get a fuck. The people that run the clubs don't. But they, it was they get shafted for it, but they also enjoy the fruits of it, if you like.
Aye. Right, we'll go to quickly go through some Twitter comments on this then, because we asked for some talking points. I'm just conscious how long we've been recording this. Is one podcast again. That's because we had loads to talk about because we fucking scalped Rangers. Who doesn't like talking about scalping fucking Rangers?
I was about this going to 3-2 yesterday because I'm betting there was loads of folk with 3-2 bet. 100%.
There would have been loads of folk with 3-2. Right, fucking we have missed. Right. Neil Renton said, as a thank you for the best support we've shown in ages, Hibs should buy final tickets for everyone who went yesterday.
I don't be able to afford that, fuck's sake.
Yeah,
Unless we've got an insurance policy.
As Ron Gordon said, I got no deal. I'm not that rich.
Gone out, the prices are fucking ridiculous.
Lee says, ticket prices just before Christmas is a fucking joke. What happened to the tickets being more reasonably priced when they actually bought Hampden? Complete pish. That's a good point as well. It's like the SFA or the SPFL, whoever it is, owns Hampden now, so fucking even less excuse for it. Dave says pricing is awful so close to Christmas and allocation is poor, should be 50-50 and give the ones back we don't sell, that way no one can complain. LG and Cow 456 said ticket prices for the final absolute joke, probably won't be able to afford that, was scraping for 50 quid for the Hibs brunch coaching ticket package for the semi-final, and we'll be looking to do that again for the final, but if it's much more expensive I won't be able to. Having said that, I'll pay whatever I need to avoid watching on Premier Sports again. I had to have a bit of shambles with the game on Saturday or Sunday. I think the initial on Saturday we had to put on a different channel because the broadcast stopped working.
Didn't watch it.
Andrew Brown says allocation as a joke should be 50-50, but we didn't help ourselves for taking so few yesterday, although prices are steep, it's a final. Robson Summers, allocation shite, but can't complain, we're only sold 9,500. Should give access to those who went yesterday first for tickets to the final. Pricing is horrendous a few days before Christmas as well.
See on that, season tickets say you got a season ticket, you get first dibs, right? See if a day tripper was to get a season ticket ahead of I get a ticket for a final ahead of a season ticket holder that's paid maybe, in my case, 1,500 to £2,000 over the last 2 seasons for the season tickets I buy. they can ram their season tickets up the fucking arse and just say and rely on the day tripper to pay their fucking 45 quid once or twice a season.
No, they always have.
I definitely think season tickets always should be first dibs on the
They will
tickets
be.
for the cup
Aye,
final.
no doubt
Always
about it.
should be.
I think there'd be a way at Hibs to do that though. So like the match day packages that they had earlier in the season, the 5 and 8, they should be like sort of second and third priority after season ticket holders.
Well, what I would say is probably most of the folk that were there yesterday will be season ticket holders. You're hardcore in it that go most weeks,
Yeah,
and there'll be a few that aren't there. But I would say
So what's the point in that comment?
Aye.
It's the same way. It's the same way. I would imagine that Hibs might miss. I don't know if they'll miss a trick here. I think they'll be probably switched on to it. But half-season tickets, if they were to sell them, they normally sell them at Christmas. Include the Aberdeen game that we're ramming in, and the cup and the derby, and for your half-season ticket, and guarantee a final ticket. They might be a good seller for that case because we're getting less tickets as well.
So they do packages, don't they? They do like they'll try to push the 5-6 game packages and all that combined.
Aye.
We could easily do that.
But I think the half-season tickets probably they're probably the big push, and then
That's a bigger push.
guarantee a ticket. Callum says Doyle Hayes is the best holding midfielder in Scotland.
That's what I was saying earlier. Like he did that role brilliantly yesterday, but he said himself that he's not a holding midfielder.
Doesn't see himself as that. I'm just going to stand up like the dog out while we're talking here. Callum also says McGuinness is going to have to work his socks off to get in this Hibs team. Do you think McGuinness would walk back into the team? Anyone?
Oh, he'll walk back in the team. Aye, he'll have to work his socks off, like the boy says, but he'll definitely get back in the team. Aye.
Should he be known as McGroinus now that he's got that injury? McGroinus, yeah. TG Willis, when the tickets go on sale? I don't think I saw when they go on sale.
They've said.
Oh, I don't know.
Did they say what date it is that they go on sale? No.
I don't think so. No.
I'll see if I can find it.
You check that. Junior said prices are ridiculous, but don't disagree too much with allocation after what we took yesterday. Everyone who went yesterday should get first dibs on tickets, then season ticket holders. Well, we spoke about that. Andy said Paul Hanlon's colossal performance, Kevin Nisbet's touch and finish with a second goal, and Jack Ross getting it tactically spot on. Agree with all that. I think we've covered it. Flash Cogsey, allocation should always start at 50-50 and be adjusted accordingly due to demand and sales. Usual bias from the Glasgow Mafia, so to be expected. Prices are also vastly overpriced. Tony Lally got a nagging feeling the prices for semi and final get agreed by all clubs involved. It's a joke a week before Christmas though. Coach and cheapest tickets for the missus, kid and I will be around £130. Freaking ridiculous. John 5, tickets should be allocated to those in attendance at the 1991 final and for free. In fact, the club should also give fans a tenner for refreshments. Ian Borge added to that, he said also free for those who had to buy 2 flights from Alaska for the 2016 League Cup final because they might have slept through the first one, theoretically allowing a side trip to Inverness in the Big Cup. Joseph McClellan said, if you can make tonight's episode short, please, lads. Oh, sorry about that. The Scottish FA have announced that this to be a 2v2 game of shapes against the main stand wall following last night's defeat, as they feel they've shortchanged Rangers and not given them a Guffey pen or laughable red. And Ray said, special mention to the SPFL, pointing out that prices have been frozen since 2019. He says, we did something shit 3 years ago, but don't worry, as we're now doing the same shit thing, but at no extra expense to yourselves. And TG Willis added to the a £20 voucher for food for those who can prove they were at the 1968 League Cup final.
Well, it's this time of year.
Aye. Right, fixture congestion, Colin. Did you want to talk about that, or do you think we've covered it?
No, we've no, but I mean, we don't know how much time we've got. But we probably should have just recorded 2 or 3 wee episodes like we do on a Thursday night.
Like we do Thursday. Just go ahead, go talk about it.
It's a fucking shambles that, like, the amount of games we're having to play in December. That's my opinion. That because it's like they just look at it in isolation. They didn't look at the whole overall picture. We've got a 10 months fucking season, and we're ramming all your games into December just because it's the first Tuesday that's available after a game got called off. So I think we played Dundee the week before. We play the cup final. We play Aberdeen, and then we play Dundee United. And it's like there's something like 11 games in December, I think, if I'm right, which is a third. Well, it's a whole round of fixtures, isn't it? It's a whole round of fixtures. So
And in 1 month.
by gone by that account, we can just move to summer football. We could play June, July, August, and September, and that's us. We can have 7 months, 8 months of no worry about football because we can play all our games in fucking. We can play a whole quarter of the season in 1 month. So why just fucking no do it if it's all right? It's just a fucking nonsense. It's the like duty care for players, all the injuries they'll pick up. We've not got a big enough squad. It's a fucking disaster waiting to happen for us, just so they can have 3 weeks off in fucking January. And then we'll have no midweek games in February, March, or April. That's what, we'll not have any midweek games when the weather starts getting nicer again. So we'll ram them on to the most expensive month of the year.
I always feel like I feel like we've had this like loads. Like getting rammed with fucking fixtures at this time of year. Mind you, under Stubbs, obviously, that was near the end of the season, obviously, with the cup final and the fucking playoffs and all that. And we've had it under Lennon a couple of times. He brought it up about the sheer fucking number, and we're playing like 3 games a fucking 4 times or something.
The thing is, we actually, this cunt that we mentioned already, the scheduler, already rammed December with games, right? So every team's got loads of games in December, but we've got about 3 rearranged fixtures plus a cup final to fit in. So that's why it's going absolutely fucking tonto in it, because
one of the worst times of year for fucking weather, for travelling, getting about in that, fucking absolutely close.
All of that. So they can have 3 weeks off in January. But they've still got loads of midweeks that we've not used. Like in August, September, October, fucking February, March, and April, we didn't bother using. We use them all in December though.
I had the conversation with the boy that the next day he's at the football year, and he said that. He's like, I felt like I was never at fucking Easter Road, and then I was never away for it. And it's like, you say it's like you have the spells, you have a game, one home game in a fucking month, and then all of a sudden you're not fucking away from the place.
Somebody needs to start asking his boy questions. Like they do. And you say, what the fuck are you doing? Would be the first question. I think we've had a game at Easter Road in November. I think we've had a whole month in a game. And then December we've got fucking 6.
Even with the COVID, so if we hadn't had the COVID outbreak, we still didn't have one. And I think the last one would have been Celtic. Would have been the last one.
Aye, I think Dundee was due in November, but it got moved because of yesterday being in the semi.
Because of the cup game.
And then they just went, right, when's the first Tuesday or Wednesday? There's a weekend. December the fucking 14th. Right, December the 22nd. It's fucking mad. Imagine Aberdeen even, like, come down to Edinburgh on a Wednesday night, 3 days before Christmas and that, But I ken a lot of folk will do it, the young boys and that, but when you're Hibs dads, or whatever it is we get called, it's like, you've got other commitments. You can't just trek up to Aberdeen or in their case, down to Edinburgh on a fucking Wednesday night, 3 days before Christmas. You can. You'll get a fucking argument for it.
Definitely not got a happy marriage when you come back.
Yeah, it's just like they just didn't care. They didn't care about fans. They didn't care enough about fans. They just don't give a fuck. And that scheduler, whoever he is, I heard him on the radio last year. I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago when he was telling lies about the reason they couldn't fit all the games in by compressing the season and that. It's like somebody needs to like quality check his work and say, what about that one? It's fucking crazy. It's all in isolation. There's no thought about the whole season. And again, it's not just us because like everybody's got Celtic's probably got loads of games in December as well because they might even have a European game.
European games as well.
Yeah, because there's usually one in the sort of first midweek of December, isn't there? The last one in the league.
Squad of 800, you know what I mean?
I know, but every team in the league will have about 7 games. Celtic will have probably 10. We've got 11. You know what I mean? It's mad.
Fans end the you see the travelling and the expense this time of year. It's fucking mental.
I think where Hibs will suffer is the squad size. And that's if we get a couple of knocks, then that player who might have missed 2 games if they're all spread out ends up missing almost around the fixtures, because of the way that it's fucking fallen.
You're out for a fortnight, you've missed fucking 5 or 6 games.
Drafted. Right, Ross County on Wednesday night. How's that going? We're winning it, Leon?
Aye, no, I'm pretty confident. Like it's, I was confident we were before the COVID outbreak and all that. I felt like that was the end. We were going to maybe push on and get a result in. I mean, obviously they pumped Dundee, but I still quite fancied us up there. I think there'll be a bit of feel good factor. I think I'm pretty confident. I think 2-0, quite comfortable like for me.
I'm optimistic Hibs getting a result. It'll not be the same game that we had, yesterday, obviously, it might be a bit trickier because I don't think Ross County are going to come out and attack us. But I still optimistic after seeing Hibs yesterday, seeing that Hibs look like they're getting back to the football that they played earlier in the season. Pretty confident we'll get a win.
Go on.
1-0. It's just one of them.
Bring us back to there.
The height of it, it'll be a total anticlimax. Go up there. It'll be
Right,
2000 foot freezing cold. You know what I mean? 1-0.
But can we quantify that and say that if it is 1-1, it's just a 1-1 draw? That's it. Like it's no indicative of performances on Sunday or looking at anything else beyond that. It's just the game. It's not anything particularly Hibs about it. That's just football.
Oh, honestly, it's Hibs. I'm just saying it's the thing. If you've had a massive high like they have had, then you've got to go there. I just think that I just think it'll be an anticlimax, and it'll be the same for anybody that had a high like they had yesterday.
Not many teams follow it up like a derby winning that well in as well, or something like that. Like you see a big game or a derby, you get the big result, and everybody's bouncing, and then they fucking get beat for Livingston.
Maybe a good opportunity to start Doidge instead of Nisbet, give Nisbet a wee bit of rest, and then maybe bring him on second half or whatever. There's maybe an opportunity to rotate the squad a wee bit without interrupting anything that happened on Sunday. Just to try and, because again, that's something that I think Hibs are going to have to give a lot of thought to coming up, is the fixture congestion, the limited squad, and trying to just get the team through the games. And like Leon said, we've experienced this before. I don't remember the period under Lennon, but I remember writing about the one that we had under Stubbs, from, I think it was from March in the lead up to the cup final in May. I think it was a game every 3 or 4 days that we were playing. It was rammed, but actually I think it played in the Hibs' hands because we were active right up until the final whistle, whereas Rangers had a few weeks break prior to that, and it, like I say, it played in Hibs' hand. But at this stage of the season, it's a fucking hard one.
Do you know one of the reasons I read about the games getting rammed in like this, about the rearrangements, was that because the transfer window's in January, you need to play the fixture with the squad you've got rather than the squad you might have after the window.
Sounds like
fucking shite.
That sounds like committee. You need to put your drinks on a tray bullshit.
Aye. So if there's a game called off on Boxing Day, when are they rescheduling that? You know what I mean? It's just fucking nonsense. Absolute pish. I don't know if that's the case. I just read it somewhere. I don't know if somebody was using that, if that was actual factual, or if it was.
I think there was an example of that last, a couple of years back when they drew the season to a close. They were saying, when Hearts got relegated, I think there was something to do with squads and contracts ending and what they were going to have to do that, because you could affect, because they were talking about restarting the season potentially after players' contracts had expired. Mm-hmm. But then that was something that people never thought would ever happen. So it wasn't. I don't think that was ever properly clarified in rules anywhere.
They just made the thing up about not having enough midweeks, and then on that one.
That's the thing. I honestly think that's what this. When I said committee carrying drinks on a tray kind of shit, that is the sort of stuff that goes on by Blazers to make themselves appear knowledgeable and powerful, and it's just shit that impacts you and I.
That's what they are. They're just a glorified fucking Labour Club committee.
Bowling club.
Look, can I come in for a drink today? There's no day. No, you're not a member. Fuck off. Yeah.
You're the wrong side of the bar, so you're not getting served.
Aye.
So for Wednesday night, I think Hibs will take a lot of the performance. I think they've set a standard. I think that's if they've got anything about them as a squad, right, which I think they have, then that's a conversation they're having with each other. Is that's the level we've shown we can play it. Let's go and fucking do it consistently now. So I'll go for the Hibs win. 1-1.
I'm not going up, obviously. Do any of you guys know if it's going to be on TV? Because I'll watch it if it is.
It'll be on. You'll be able to get it through Ross County TV online. Yeah. Similar providers.
Anybody that goes up to Ross County should be guaranteed a ticket for the final.
Right.
In that case, I'll maybe speak to the wife.
Even if they're not going up to watch the game, even if it's just for some shopping.
Just got a Dingwall, just as long as you got a train ticket.
Right, that's pretty much us out of time then for the night. Thanks to everybody who tweeted in an opinion on that. Colin, Leon, John, thanks very much for your opinions tonight. We'll be back with short bangers on Thursday, so get your questions in for that. Until then, we'll catch you later.
County line, I pledged upon. Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee.